Good morning. It's Wednesday, May 7th, and today I want to talk about a subject that has gone on for centuries. And that subject is anti-Semitism. Now, as a child, when I grew up, I lived in a Jewish neighborhood for the first 13 years or so of my life on Walton Avenue and 183rd Street in the Bronx. And luckily for me, that was a very predominantly Jewish street that I lived on. But it wasn't a fancy street. There was only one building on the street that had an elevator. Most of the other buildings were walk-up apartments. And most of the people on that block were Jews. So I never encountered any real anti-Semitism as a young man. But I know that if I wandered over to the next street over, which was Morris Avenue, the kids there didn't like it when I came by. And that's the way it was. They were protecting their neighborhood. But they, as far as I could tell, it wasn't an act of anti-Semitism that they were performing. I didn't really hit anti-Semitism in the face until I moved over to Bronx Park East in the Allerton Avenue section of the Bronx. And I went to Christopher Columbus High School. And there were many students in Christopher Columbus High School who came from City Island, which is an isolated, beautiful part of the Bronx. But there were very few Jews who lived in City Island. And the kids that I ran into at Columbus High School were anti-Semitic to the core, and they displayed it regularly when you sat in the cafeteria. If you happened to be sitting alone and encountered several of these young men, I don't recall any young women who were anti-Semitic. These young men were anti-Semites, and they were openly anti-Semitic, and they made awful statements to me as I was sitting in the Bronx at Bronx High School, Christopher Columbus. So I avoided those people for the 4 years or so that I went to Christopher Columbus High School. When I graduated, I didn't go right to college. I went to work for a couple of years, and I didn't have any encounters at those particular jobs, any anti-Semitic encounters there. And then finally, I decided to go back to college, and then I met my wife, and we got married, and I had some children, and it took me 10 years to graduate from college. And during all of that time, I wasn't running into any anti-Semitism either. And then I had a great career in the computer business as I worked for many companies designing computer systems and helping them with their businesses. And I made a good living. And then about 18 years ago, I retired. And I've been living on Long Island for a long time, over 50 years, and I didn't encounter much anti-Semitism here on the island in my particular neighborhood. So why am I on this tangent right now? Well, I belong to the Suffolk Y, which is a Jewish Y, and we had a speaker there yesterday who came from Israel, a young man who served in the armed forces and is still serving in the armed forces of Israel. That is like a lifetime commitment. And so during that talk, I recognized the fact that anti-Semitism exists all around the world. And I am thinking, while this young man is talking, about the small, tiny little country in the middle of a continent surrounded by anti-Semites. And I am wondering how the Jew is going to survive that. This is a disease that is not going to go away. It has been with us for hundreds of years, thousands of years actually. And in spite of the fact that the Jews have contributed much to world societies in the areas of health management and many other significant life-saving deeds that they have performed. But that doesn't count. Anti-Semitic hatred exists. It exists in those who are ignorant and those who are the enemy of the Jew. And it doesn't matter what the Jew has provided to the lives of the whole world. The hatred against them still exists and is continuing to grow. So I am a distressed speaker this morning because of this. And I have to prepare to talk to a group of people about this situation. So I leave you with that this morning. Antisemitism on the rise, never ending. And I'm sorry if I had disturbed many of you out there, but these are the facts. And we can't ignore them. Have a great day, if you can. Bye.